morning. It's Dina the dietitian, Dish with Dina. It's Wednesday, January 28th. I'm keeping up with my daily vlogs for a week in the life of what I do as a registered dietitian. I'm currently setting off to walk over across town to catch the subway, then to go uptown to my site visit at one of the Head Start programs that I work with. So I figured, let me film this now in my kitchen while it's nice and warm before heading out, because I'm not gonna be able to figure out how to hold the camera with my gloves and with the wind and with the cold, and I'll keep you posted along the day. What I do there is a variety of different things. So I usually check in first with the directors of the program, with the staff, the chef, and the family workers who oversee all of the children. They are aged about 3 to 5 years old, and there are quite a few of them in the classrooms. So I try to do the best I can with when I get there, and they have technically 2 sites combined in one building. So I'm only there twice a month. So every other week I go in, I check with one site, and then I check with the other site. So we'll see what they have in store for me today, because when I get there, we might have some parent consults, we might have some classroom observations, and yeah, I'll keep you posted. I am on site. I'm grabbing a cup of coffee and a bagel because a lot of the stuff I have to do doesn't take place until later today. So I'm taking advantage, and I'm just in a scarf. It's very cold and I don't have my headset on, so whatever. But I'm currently on the Upper West Side, and I just got myself some yummy eats from Bo's Bagel behind me, and I will check back in later. We are on to the next thing that I am doing. So today is Wednesday, as I mentioned earlier, and I was at the Head Start school, and I realized that you are seeing me in nothing but outdoors right now. There's a few reasons for that. Number one, I'm in a school with children, so I'm not filming there, nor is it appropriate for me to do that. Number two, I mean, look how pretty. I'm gonna come around the corner here. Give me one sec. I am on campus at Lehman College in the Bronx, which is where I teach. So on Monday, because we had a snow day, we met virtually, and that was with my 2 undergrad classes. And today I am teaching my graduate course at 6 o'clock tonight, and I am going to be in person. Now, the students have the option to meet me here or log in virtually, but I've been inside this whole time. So I ventured up to the Bronx because this is my first time on campus for the spring semester, which just started this week, and I really enjoy it. It's 37 acres, and I mean, it's just absolutely gorgeous. So this building that I'm coming up in front of me is where I have another job. I have my nutrition counseling for the Student Health Center. I have 2 jobs on this campus, and since this is Wednesday, but because it's the beginning of the semester, I haven't started that job just yet, because you have to let a couple of weeks go by before people know who I am and what I do here. So going forward, I'll be counseling at the Student Health Center from 10 to 4, and then taking a short break, and then heading over to my graduate class at 6 o'clock until almost 9 o'clock at night. In today's case, it was kind of an anomaly. So I was working at the Head Start program this morning, and then I jumped on a subway, and I got off a stop early because I wanted to, I mean, look, gorgeous, so pretty. It is cold, and I have some catching up to do, or at least some lesson planning to do, because I'm not entirely prepared for the class tonight. It's been a long day and a bit of a convoluted week, so I'm going to just give myself some downtime before the class starts, and then I'll take you on a little trip of what I do as an adjunct for the graduate course. I am in my adjunct office. It's not mine, it's all of the adjuncts' office who work here at Lehman College, and I'm a little bit all over the place right now, because this is the problem with what I do sometimes, is there are multiple things that take place in the course of a day. So as I was saying earlier when I was walking through campus, in a couple of weeks I'm going to be doing nutrition counseling at the Student Health Center, and then immediately after that I'm going to go to my graduate class and teach nutrition counseling actually to the graduate students. Today was a bit of an anomaly because, as I mentioned and you saw earlier, I was at the Head Start program. So I'm working with the littles, and I'm working with the family workers, and I'm working with the teachers that are in that school. And then I'm coming here. So again, the brain switch stuff is happening, and it's a little bit fatiguing to be quite honest. The other thing I wanted to share too, well, a couple things. Number one, when I got onto that school today, the Wi-Fi and the internet was out, like 100% out. And you know, I can do some things analog, but I really needed to have my access to my computer. But thankfully it was rectified. So the other thing I wanted to bring up is a lot of the stuff that I do is I'm getting paid in a variety of different ways. So when I am a teacher here at Lehman College, I am an adjunct lecturer. I get paid through the city university fund, and I am a payrolled employee, and we actually have part-time benefits like health insurance, which is great. When I am doing the Head Start stuff, I am what's known as an independent contractor. So this is a company that actually they headhunted me, which was pretty cool because this, just a side note, speaks to the power of networking, telling people what you're interested in and keeping in touch with complete strangers on the internet who want to give you jobs, which is nice. So anyway, I'm an independent contractor for that particular group, and at the end of every 2 weeks, we fill out our timesheet, and then there is a payroll person there, but taxes are not getting taken out of that. So I have to be responsible for submitting my taxes. Whereas if I'm a payrolled employee here at Lehman College, they take care of all of that for me. We are currently in tax season right now, and this is going to be a bit of a nightmare. The other stuff that I do, so yesterday I was doing private practice stuff. That is technically also an independent contractor in a way, because I get paid through that telehealth portal group that oversees all of my billing and coding. So they take a cut of some of the money that I make, which I'm happy to give them because managing all of that administrative stuff gives me a massive headache. And they provide me with a rundown of all of the people that I've seen and all of that stuff, and I just double check, and it's basically an invoice that I'm getting paid on. And then in the case of I didn't mention, like, you're not going to see this because it's not part of this week, but in the case of the nutrition counseling on campus, that is also technically a payroll job, but it is different because it's a time-sheeted payroll job, meaning that if I'm not there, or campus is closed, or we have holidays or whatever, I don't get paid for those days. Whereas as an adjunct, is this making sense? This is very confusing, I understand, but as an adjunct employee, I'm contracted for the hours that cover the whole semester, whether or not classes being held, because I'm already doing upfront work for that, and I'm still responsible for checking email and doing lesson plans and grading, et cetera, et cetera. So I just thought I'd share that because it's a lot to juggle, and if you have a non-traditional path that you're on, or you do side gigs or whatever, it can be a lot to take into account. And again, that brain switching, like switching directions from whatever the content is, the front-facing services that you're providing, the behind-the-scenes administrative work that you have to do, it can be quite fatiguing. So most of my day is spent exhausted, and then I do get energized, and I really do enjoy what I do. I find it very, very rewarding, so I'm not going to complain, but I'm just giving the facts, and the facts are that I'm usually tired most of the time. Come with me to my classroom. This is actually a classroom I have taught in before, and when I first started teaching here, I think this was one of the very first classrooms I had. So this is my graduate class, DFN 637 Nutrition Counseling. The room is outfitted with a microphone and a projector and a camera because I teach in a format called HighFlex, which means, we're gonna see if people actually show up today, which means students have an option to attend in person or remotely. I do not force or mandate either of those options, and there are definitely times where I need to be virtual for whatever conflicts, or I live an hour and a half away, so sometimes it makes sense sometimes for me to teach remotely myself, but as far as my contract is concerned, they do require me to be in person like 70% of the semester. So you can see me here, I come in person every other week or so, but the students can come in person or they can come virtually. Obviously, when I'm not here, they're gonna probably log in virtually because otherwise they'll be in an empty room. But fun fact, I'm in an empty room sometimes. A lot of the students will be very ambitious in the first couple of weeks of the semester. Not so much the graduate students, because they have full-time jobs, or they're working, they're doing their internships, and or they live far away as well. And so this class starts at 6 p.m. and so it's a little hard for them to get to campus at that time. But the undergrads that I teach are very ambitious, and a lot of them say that they enjoy or prefer learning in person. And over the course of the semester, like, 4 weeks in, 6 weeks in, maybe even less than that. No, it's an empty space. It's an empty place. So I don't judge anybody, because that's the reason I created the format, or I adhere to the format for myself, and I allow them to come when they want to. We don't really do anything, even with the presentations, we don't do anything that you have to be in person for. We make accommodations for people who are logging in remotely. They can narrate their slides online if they're doing a quote unquote in-person presentation. If they have a group project, I can do breakout rooms, and I can ask students who are in person to bring their computers with them so they can log in and join their sessions, keep their headphones on, or split up into different parts of the room. Or, like I said, I'll just tell everybody, let's be virtual this week so we can accommodate kind of like the lowest common denominator and work it that way. And it's been fine. So far, it's been fine. I'm okay with it. And I think a lot of the students appreciate the flexibility in given the option to come either way. So that is it. I am wrapping up. It is 8:30 and I've been documenting everything for the past 12 hours. I am officially fried. We had a good first class. It's always a bit challenging because we have such an aggressive agenda and lesson plan and curriculum. The first class always is a lot of administrative, logistical things and a ton of questions. And I also noticed, and it was pointed out to me, that we had a couple of technical issues on the learning management system, so on the class portal. So now, not tonight, but probably in the next day or so, I now have to go back into the portal and correct some of the things that are not accessible for the students in order for them to get their assignments in on time. And then next week we hit the ground running. Like, we start with mock counseling sessions, and we start with homework assignments, and we start with the textbook learning. And so it's a lot. As a teacher too, I try not to cram too much in. So I don't concern myself with deadlines, like rushing to get things done. I'd rather have some flexibility, make sure that people understand what we're learning, get the feedback from the students, and do like a lot of in-class activities too, versus just letting people be on their own. Especially in a case like this, there's a lot of moving parts, as often is the case with my classes. So that wraps up Wednesday, January 28th. Tomorrow, we have patient counseling again, and I'm going to be traveling out of state. So I'm going to be working remotely from outside of my own usual virtual home office. So I'll keep you posted, and I hope you tag along for that one too.